Hi, it's Bob Negen, and in this episode of Real Retail TV, we're going to talk about the good, the gone, and the mediocre middle. I am quite confident that 2022 is going to be a tremendous opportunity for you as an independent retailer. I really believe there are sea changes happening, and if you're aware of them and you know how to take advantage of them, your future has never been brighter. In this episode of Real Retail TV, we're going to take a look at the past and the future, and what I mean by good, gone, and the mediocre middle. So let's talk about the history, a very, very broad history of retail. Around 800 BC, around is the operative term, in ancient Greece, in ancient Greece, there was a thing called the agora, and it was a meeting place, a social gathering where people would have stalls and sell their goods, and people would come and shop and also socialize, kind of like modern day malls. But let's fast forward to the 17 and 1800s, and this is when you really started to see lots of local mom and pop stores, small stores that catered to members of the community. And this was a big deal for a long time. And around the time of the Depression, you started to see catalog merchants. Specifically, Sears and Penny's would send catalogs to an ever-expanding America, and this changed the way that retail was done. Those catalogs hurt, they disrupted those local independent retailers. They were offering more goods, better goods, convenience. They filled a hole in the market. And then in the 50s, in 1956 specifically, you saw the first of the modern malls. The first modern mall was in Edina, Minnesota. And then what are we doing? Again, we're offering huge selections like the ancient agora, places for people to come and socialize, and malls, as the malls rolled across Western Europe, North America, all over the world, as they rolled across the landscape, it hurt independent local retail. And then in the 60s, the big box started to roll out, the categories started to roll out, Walmart started to roll out. And again, all of these businesses, all of these disruptors hurt local independent stores. And then finally, Amazon came around in the 90s, and all of the big e-commerce brands are, again, disruptors. And every time there's a disruption, the disruption hurts independent local retailers. But I believe that the tide has turned. So the first thing I want to say is that none of these changes killed local independent retail. You, me, small to mid-sized independent retailers, we are the cockroaches of retail. You cannot get rid of us. As long as there is a storefront with a for rent sign in front and a person with a dream, you will find people starting their stores, giving it a go, doing what they can. You cannot kill independent retail. But again, every disruption hurt us badly. I remember Sheboygan, Michigan, when Walmart came to town. People were furious. It's going to kill downtown. And it did. It didn't kill downtown, but it drove a lot of the bad stores out of business. So all of these disruptions are part of the history of retail. But now, all of a sudden, history is on our side. So first, let's talk about the gone. The gone are people who are not adapting to the future. So let's just recognize expectations are up, loyalty is down. People have learned that great retail, people don't need a lousy experience. People don't need a bad store. People don't need bad retail. So the gone are going to go away faster than ever before. So if you are a mid-sized retailer, if you are a new e-commerce brand, if you are a small independent and you aren't adapting to the changes that are happening in retail right now, you are out of business. You may not be out of business this month. You might not even be out of business this year, but you are going out of business. The mediocre middle are all of the people who have legacy businesses. You know, the mid-sized chains that have been around for a long time, and they will go away, but they have enough infrastructure, they have enough legacy, they have enough to hang on. These are the people who were part of, these businesses are the businesses that survived the pre-COVID retail apocalypse. So if those mid-sized retail chains do not adapt, do not up their game, do not give their customers a better experience, do not up their e-commerce presence, they will go out of business. It might be slow, but it is happening. There is no room for mediocre anymore, right? Can I say that again? There is no room for mediocre retail anymore. But now let's talk about the good and what it means to you as a local, small to mid-sized, independent brick and mortar retailer. Think about what has happened in the last 24 months. Think about the resilience that you have developed as a person, as a retailer. Think about the skills that you have learned. Think about how far you were pushed out of your comfort zone and how you were able to adapt. You know, COVID caused a lot of us, small to mid-sized, independent brick and mortar, local businesses to go out of business. But you're still here. You may be tired. In fact, you probably are tired, but you are still here. So that's the first thing. There's that mindset piece that will lead you to the big prosperity that I'm talking about. Now let's talk about the technological piece. Think about the technologies that have emerged and that you probably have adopted and adapted in the last 24 months. Pre-COVID, most local businesses did not have a really great e-commerce presence. Now you do. Social selling never happened. There was QVC and the Home Shopping Network. Now there's you doing your Facebook Lives, doing your Instagram Lives. There is the technology of inventory management. You know, Management One, if you use Management One, you now have the advantages that only were once that you could only have if you were a Walmart or a Target or one of the big stores. Now you have even better technology available to you than those big chains may have. So the technology has caught up. You know, Peter Diamandis, the futurist, says that technology is democratized and it's commoditized. And it's true. The technology is becoming easier and cheaper. And it is easier and cheaper for you to take advantage of it. The final thing that I want to talk about when I talk about why the future is so exciting for you is you now have access, because of technology, to the skills you need to be a successful retailer. You know, when I started in retail in the 80s, there was not a single book on how to run a retail store, right? I was just a dumb young kid with $2,000 who loved to fly kites. And I was, like I said, dumb enough and stubborn enough and comfortable enough being poor that I just stuck with it. You don't have that luxury anymore, but you do have, because of the internet, access to information. You can invest in the Retail Mastery System. You can invest in other programs. You can invest your time, your energy, and your money to quickly develop the skills you need to be successful. So when I talk about the good, I'm talking about people who understand that the world has changed, who embrace that change, who invest in themselves, and all of a sudden, you have all of the advantages that were once only available to big businesses, but they're available to you now. And if you embrace the change, if you understand that it is your job to give your customers a great experience, and that experience is enabled by the technologies, you are going to find that 2022 and beyond are going to be some of the richest times in your life. And I don't just mean rich as far as money. I mean that you're going to be able to unleash your creativity. I mean that you're going to be rich in customer loyalty, that all of a sudden being an independent retailer is not a struggle. All of a sudden it is a joy-filled, creative endeavor that will reward you as a local independent retailer. So right now, this holiday season, the wind is in your sails. People want to shop local. People understand the value of you and the experience that you give and the value that you give to your community. The wind is in your sail. But my challenge to you and your opportunity is to recognize that the wind changes. And so right now, this holiday season, the first 2 quarters of 2022 is a time for you to really step up, to understand the opportunity that you have in front of you, to take stock of your skills, to take stock of your beliefs, to take stock of what you do in your business and firmly point it towards your customers, giving them the kind of experience that you, only you, as a local brick and mortar retailer with an e-commerce presence, with a social media presence, with the ability to embrace technology, are able to provide. So I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for your future. But I just wanted to make this video to really challenge you to recognize that I know that you're tired, but I also know you have what it takes to take what you're doing and move it into the future, move it into an incredibly bright future. So, agree with me? Disagree with me? Have something that you want to add? I would love to hear it. Put it down in the comments below. I'm Bob Negen, and we'll see you next week.